My next guest tonight here on our special Halloween episode of Punky's MixTape is coming all the way from Vancouver, Washington, the complete opposite side of the country from where I'm at. I'd like everybody to welcome to the show. We have Brian, Daniel, and Kyle of the band Second Player Score. How we doing?
Hey.
Great. Thanks so
Doing
much
great.
for having us on.
And happy Halloween to you.
Yeah.
And you? Yes, happy Halloween, sir.
Oh, favorite time of year. Favorite time of year. As you can see, I've come prepared for the situation. I'm getting our full spooky on here in our studio.
Yeah, man, your studio is bomb.
That's a quite impressive spread of nerdy, geeky horror stuff, man.
And it's all stuff that we had around the house anyways. You know, it's just a big mix of, of pop culture and nerd culture and horror movies. And, so we just kind of like pick and choose. I think one of the few things we got was like the tapestry and like the spider web. I think everything else we had.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I feel you, man. Like my house looks like a Comic-Con threw up in it. It's I totally get you.
And that's pretty much how ours is. Just
right on.
Man. I think we would get lost in each other's houses for a long time. We got
oh, probably.
We don't have kids. We've got like our comic collection and our random geek collection of things. So like the house is not kid friendly. There are way too many amazing toys that are looking toys. They're not playing toys anymore.
I feel you. It's like the wall of Lego you don't want to touch because it'll just fall over and choke somebody. And yeah.
So for my mixtapers that may not be familiar, we actually checked you guys out a couple of months back. We took a little look at your latest album, Glorified. But for those who don't recall, introduce yourselves and tell us a little bit about the band.
Well, I'm Brian. I play guitar and I sing for Second Player Score.
Go for it.
I am Dan or Daniel, whatever you want. And I play bass, backup vocals, or weird guttural sounds, all that kind of stuff.
And I'm Kyle. I'm the drummer and also backup vocals for Second Player Score.
What kind
Resident
of how would you describe your band?
Well, we call our sound. We arrived at a term called nerd punk, I guess, because we play which basically is pop punk. But we're all pop culture nerds. We're all like really into all that kind of stuff. So I think as we were a band for a few years, we started to evolve into this whole thing where we were not only making just pop punk, but we were making these concept albums because I'm also an author, and I wanted to kind of inject like have like stories into our music and into our albums. So we started doing concept albums with our second album. And so, we decided that, it's kind of it's a life. It's more than music. It's kind of like a lifestyle, I think, for us, because, we were all into all this kind of stuff before we were all in this band. And so we just want to bring kind of that whole, nerd culture, pop culture kind of thing into our music, into what we do. It's just something that we're all into anyway. So we kind of incorporate that into the whole deal.
Yeah. So like you have like our second album, Nobody's Hero, which basically kind of turned into ode to Dungeons and Dragons, because we all had a slight history with that. And then Glorified became basically the anime album.
Now you're speaking to two massive parts of my heart right there. You've got you've got anime and you've got Dungeons and Dragons, which got my Dungeons Master cup right here.
Nice.
Oh,
dude, that is sweet.
I am my better half. It's like, oh, we're gonna do D&D. We're gonna go like all in, and you definitely deserve this giant stein. So
I gotta get me one of those.
And I think that's one of the things that like instantly caught my eye about you is like, oh, here's a punk band. And they're super nerdy like myself. And then we start to notice, especially with Glorified, where a lot of people in the chat were like, this sounds like it could be an anime soundtrack. And it is, because it's specifically meant to feel like your anime album, which is awesome.
Yeah, exactly. And I think I'm really into anime, and I think when we started writing this album, we thought Okay, well, the original idea was that there was going to be a comic, like a comic book attached to it that would tell the story of what happens during the album. And at first, we actually had like we were looking at ideas to just have it be like kind of a standard comic book. And then one day I just thought, wait a minute, like I love like manga and anime. Why don't we do it, in that style? I mean, make it in a kind of a manga style. And so that, so we found an artist who was able to do that for us. And she's fantastic. And so what we're doing is we're making, there's a whole a story behind each song and the album as a whole. It's sort of like the album makes up the first season or the first volume of the manga or the anime. And so right now we have there are 12 songs on the album, and we're making an issue of the comic book series, like one for each song basically. And so we have the first two of them are out, and the third one's coming out in November. And the idea is we're going to make hopefully a comic book for each song on this album, and it's going to continue beyond that. If we're lucky enough to be able to keep producing it. The idea, I have a story idea that will take the story arc out to actually like 50 issues. So hopefully we'll be able to get that done. We'll see, but that's the goal. So
and we also have the scripts written for all the songs on Glorified to compile a first season of an anime series. If somebody like Netflix or a place like that might be interested.
Just dropping that right there. Just, which hey, you don't know until you put it out into the universe, which is awesome. So that's a lot to unpack, and that's incredibly exciting to me, as you're going at it from a different angle than I've ever had any other band on the show. And I don't think I've ever spoken to a band that also has a comic book series and also developing it for an animated series. That's incredibly ambitious, but right to my heartstrings. Can you tell our viewers maybe like a shortened synopsis about the story behind Glorified?
Sure. It's kind of it's set in a post-apocalyptic world, and it's sort of a mix between like, say if you got the storyline for like John Wick or The Mandalorian, but you have like a kick-ass female lead like from Kill Bill or Furiosa, from Fury Road. And it's basically like it tells the story of this woman named Gloria Sin, who when she starts off, she's the alpha enforcer for this city-state called Fort Storm, which is it's basically a city within an enclosed sports stadium, because after the apocalypse, sports stadiums now become settlements where people live in the stands actually. And so anyway, so like she's the chief police officer or soldier for Fort Storm. And so when the story begins, we see her carrying out a mission, and she goes on a raid basically, because they Fort Storm, they don't have their own natural resources, but they have a lot of firearms and powers. But so what they do is they go out to raid other settlements and take their resources. So we see her on a mission. She goes out on a raid, and when she's on the raid, as she's as she's threatening to shoot one of the people in the town, she has a flashback triggered by the guy she's going to shoot. Like his daughter comes out, and that triggers a flashback for her, and then that kind of sets her on this whole course of trying to find out who she really is, because she has no memory of who she was before she became this enforcer kind of person. And so that sets her on this whole mission, or this whole journey basically of trying to not only to regain the memory of who she was or where she came from, but also to kind of regain her humanity, because when we see her at the beginning of the story, she's basically just kind of this emotionless killing machine. And but then once she has that memory, she realizes that there's more to her and her whole life than just being this killing soldier. And so the whole story is her trying to find out what that background is, basically.
That sounds like an absolute blast. Now, how long did it take you all to come up with that concept?
I don't know.
It didn't actually take that long. It was kind of one of those things that once the spark was lit, it all really came together very quickly.
Yeah, because I remember being at practice at your place. So we're standing around your kitchen island, and then we're just kind of bouncing ideas off each other, and then somehow the anime popped up.
Oh, but it all started from, remember, like the question of who is Gloria, because we had a song on our first album called Gloria, and we always get, all throughout the years we've always been asked whenever we play that song, like, who is Gloria? And I don't actually, I never actually knew. I just, I would make up things like, oh, she was a girlfriend in college or whatever.
It's a 3-syllable name. It fit the song.
Yeah, that was the truth actually. But we would just make up all these different, like whoever she was. But then, one day we were sitting around probably after practice, drunk or saying, well, who is Gloria really? And I think that kind of set us off on this whole course to write this story and turn that into what was, what became our third album.
Yeah, and what is funny is that Gloria, if you've ever heard it, it seems like a very upbeat, happy song, but it's actually incredibly dark because the first part of Gloria or Glorified is, one of the things there is that if an alpha enforcer isn't 100%, they end up having to perform a suicide ritual because you're either 100% or you're nothing. Because, even if you're 80%, you're so dangerous that they don't want to have to be worrying about you like causing trouble if you get kicked out of the ranks. So they perform the suicide ritual, and she doesn't want to because she has this memory that she found. And this whole movie, the Glorified song is actually turned into this song where she is like having a problem with actually performing the suicide ritual. She wants to live, and it's the rulers of Fort Storm like trying to convince her, like, no, this is the right thing to do. You should do this. This is
the way.
You will feel better if you do. And so it's like this very happy song that's incredibly dark.
Yeah, like the first line is like, "Did you remember to die today?" And we're like, "What?" And then we kind of turned that into a whole a whole pretty much the spark of everything. That was the seed.
That really started it all.
Yep.
Wow. That's awesome. Like literally just taking, a prior idea and just building this world off from it. I really, really like that. I mean, that's honestly for anybody that's, into writing or like tabletop role playing or stuff like that, or LARPing, any sort of long-term character development, things like that. It's easy for us types of individuals to get just swept away into a story, and especially where I imagine where your second album was so D&D prominent, you're so used to just writing this massive story together already.
Also, another thing with that second album, there is a beer line. So every song, just like how our anime one, every song is a homebrew beer that Kyle whipped up, so you can taste the progression throughout the entire album.
I brew beer.
And that's in my notes, so we're gonna jump right to that right now.
All right.
So
I drink it too.
So you're a brewer, which is right after my own heart. I love craft beer. I'm kind of a stout and porter guy myself. What do you have that would kind of hit those notes for me?
Well, we'd start right off with Bone Storm, the first track off of Nobody's Hero, and that is a brutal imperial stout.
Yes.
So that sucker, it is smooth as silk, but it tastes like smoke, and it is 11% because a rock band has to have a beer that goes to 11.
Oh my God.
And then the other thing that would like just sing to you is Hooked. We have a beer called Hooked that is a maple pecan porter.
Oh, I love pecan anyway, so anything with like notes of pecan in it, especially in a beer, oh my God.
Oh yeah,
we just became best friends.
It is.
I know, right?
It's really good. Like I could just drink like gallons of it nonstop.
I need to actually, I have not brewed in a while, and I need to brew some of that for the winter. So when I brew that, I will be sure to send some bottles your way.
Ooh. Oh man.
Nice.
Yeah, and if there's anything kicking around right now, I wouldn't say no. I'm
Believe
so
it or not-
curious now, Is there
Believe it or not, in COVID times, I have had less free time than more, because it became time to do home projects, and so
Oh, yeah,
I've been
yeah.
brewing less, and so I'm actually getting to the almost the end. I've got like this one batch, a 5-gallon batch that I need to bottle, and dude, once that's gone, it's gone. So I need to start getting after it because maple pecan porter is a Christmas tradition at my house. And so I better have some
Yes,
come
you'd better.
Christmas morning, because come Christmas morning, if there is not any maple pecan porter, heads might roll. And basically, by saying that, my head.
Is that the one you paired up with bacon that one time?
I did try a version with bacon once. It tasted good. It did work. Problem is, I can't figure out how to get zero fat in it, and even the smallest amount of grease or fat just completely kills the head on it. And so it was
this
okay.
makes for a flat pour at that point.
Yeah. But maple pecan porter with bacon on the side is fantastic.
There you go.
Ooh, you're killing me right now. Because before I started recording, we made a bunch of bacon. So when I'm done, I'm gonna fire up the grill and make a couple burgers up. So my house is already just filled with the fragrant smell of bacon already. So this is just killing me because I didn't realize till right now, but I desperately need to try a maple bacon porter.
Yes, everybody needs to try it.
Yes.
No, that's awesome. So beer brewers, author, which is awesome. And Daniel, you do some fabrication for cosplay as well.
Well, whatever I can try to do is like, so one year we all decided to cosplay Kung Fury because like all of us. My wife was Barbariana, so I had most of that is I was Triceratops, so that was easy. You get a cop suit, get a mask, you're done. But for hers, we had to do like a whole bunch of Warbler, like gauntlets and stuff like that, and then like just trying to hodgepodge things together because of course like the night before you realize you have like 12 hours worth of stuff to do with 2-hour window to do it. So you're just kind of slapping things together, hot gluing things, things are falling apart, but you're still doing it and fixing it as you're walking around and stuff.
Yeah, but that Gatling gun, dude, that was the fucking bomb.
Oh yeah. Cause like, I have like a machining background. I went to community college for a quick little machining degree. So we needed like a good bolt hole circle to go on this Gatling gun because the plan was to put a drill in there, but the first one I did was all hodgepodge and wobbly. As soon as you pulled the trigger, the thing just blew apart because it was just out of balance. So then like we're like, all right, let's do this legit. And then it got actually pretty sick. And then like I realized, damn, my wife has to carry this, and it's like maybe 10 pounds too heavy for her. So I'm like, oh, sorry. So I'm just walking around with my mask, like, you got this, babe. You got this.
How amazing it looks, and it's functional.
Yeah, I mean, like the drill part, I actually had to like, we stuck it in that morning, and then the battery just it charged, but it just wouldn't fire. So we're like, okay, we'll just take that. We'll just take the battery out. We'll be fine. It won't spin, but at least it looks cool. And like, but yeah, I mean, it held up. I mean, I still have it somewhere. I think it's in my garage somewhere.
Oh, it looked great though.
So as comic books go, Brian is the architect. He builds worlds. I am the alchemist. I brew beers, and basically anything fermented. I think the only thing I don't do is liquor yet. And Dan is the assembler.
Yeah, we each have our own comic book identity name.
Triple A.
See,
no, that's kind of lame.
I fully relate to that 100%. I've always been on the line of the alchemist, where I'm like really into hot sauce to the point where I grow my own peppers and stuff like that.
Oh, nice.
So maybe we can do a cross exchange. I'll send some hot sauce your way, and send
Oh,
some
yeah,
beer
man.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
and
Actually, we
trading
need,
our
like,
vocations.
That sounds
you know?
great.
But I always, if I was a comic book character, I kind of always saw myself as, oh, the garage is opening.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh.
There's light. But I always saw myself as a historian character. There's with so many different comic series and multiverse. I always thought it'd be interesting if there was one individual that was capable of regaining all the knowledge from all realities, but it's also where knowledge is a curse.
Yeah.
If I'm pitching ideas to join your story,
Right?
he's a clairvoyant, so anything he touches with inanimate objects, he's able to learn anything of that's predecessing history.
Oh.
That's my idea for a comic character. Maybe it fits the bill.
Love it, man.
Dude, yeah,
And that's the thing. It's like where somebody you have all this super strength and stuff like that, and all these sorcerers and wizards. I always thought it'd be interesting to actually use knowledge as power.
Oh, hell yeah.
That's a good idea. No, I
Mhm.
like that.
So you can like touch like an inanimate object and like get the whole story from it, kind of thing. It's like,
Yep.
Oh, that's kind of sounds like I don't know if you follow Mass Effect, but it's like one of the Protheans. Yeah, that's one of the powers they had. They can touch like inanimate things and get the vibration from it and stuff like that.
Which is roughly where we get inspired from different things. So you definitely caught on to that.
Dude,
But
that's amazing. That's cool.
I always
that was a
thought
great
because I'm
idea.
like a huge Stephen King fan, so like the telepaths and like the clairvoyants and stuff like that, I've always thought their powers to be interesting. Even like Marvel, with like Jean Grey and Xavier and their powers. So
Yeah, totally.
Oh yeah, they didn't even tap everything the Scarlet Witch can do. So I mean, I'm just waiting for that to pop up, like whole
Yeah.
House of M kind of thing, and like just like, dude, she's the most OP person there. No one knows it yet.
and exactly, they don't even know how powerful she is. I'm really excited for WandaVision. I have a feeling that whatever the cosmic radiation effect from the snap and then the second snap, plus whatever Wanda does, is going to obviously see averting effects. And obviously with the Eternals, it's going to be their way of explaining how the X gene exists. So you take all the radiation plus Wanda plus the X gene, we got mutants.
Yep.
So I was reading on Reddit the other day, but it's kind of they're doing it in like 3 points. They're gonna have WandaVision, and then Spider-Man 3 is apparently going to be connected to WandaVision very heavily. And then Doctor Strange is going to be kind of the synopsis to wrap up those kind of 3 films into the next larger. So I guess they're going to be really heavily connected.
Yeah, that's what I heard too.
Nice.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah, I want to
Should
see
be
this
fun.
whole Spider-Verse thing come together. That was my favorite thing in the 90s. I would run home to watch the Spider-Man episodes just to see like the last 10 minutes because I'm all sweaty and pissed off. I missed the bus or whatever. But now we actually get to see this now. I'm like, hell yes.
I'm right there with you. Spider-Man was always one of my favorite characters growing up, always, big fans like Guardians of the Galaxy, and like basically whatever was like the 25-cent bin, because I couldn't afford $4 comics. And I was like, well, my dad gave me $10. I can either get like 2 comic books or I can try to get as many as I can. So, back in the early 90s, like nobody cared about Guardians of the Galaxy, and things like that. So you can get a lot of back issues, for $10 as a kid.
Right. Yeah.
So no, I'm excited. And obviously with Sam Raimi taking the helm for Doctor Strange 2, it makes sense that there's going to be a lot of interconnection to the Spider-Man since he's already so connected to his previous series. So
who's your favorite Spider-Man actor?
Honestly, I'm right there with Tom Holland.
Yeah.
I think he's fantastic.
Yeah.
He's got all the right wit. He has the timing down. The fact that he was already a gymnast and a dancer like gives him like literally a leg up, all pun intended, to everything going on. And like he wants it the most. Andrew Garfield, he did okay, but he didn't really fully embrace being Spider-Man. And then Tobey Maguire is my number 2.
I think Tobey Maguire was like perfect at the time. But like what I like about Tom Holland is I think had you had him at any time, it would have been the best. You know, he just wasn't there yet.
Plus they're doing like the like Peter Parker in the comics, he had there was teenage Peter Parker, and then there was like adult Peter Parker. So I think he really does the teenage Peter Parker really well. So I think they were trying to do more of the adult one for the first two movies, but for him, for the teenage version, I think he does
they
good
forget
job.
he's a high school student. He's not like oh, he's in college and all these things. I'm like, no, that's not the OG Parker. He has teen angst. He's still wondering about girls. You know what I mean? Like that's the high school student. That's what makes him so awkward. And he does a good balance of Parker and Spider-Man. It's kind of hard to find. So just like Batman, you need to find a good Bruce Wayne and a good Batman. You can't just do either or.
And that's that you nailed it with that, because you get actors that are either a really good Bruce Wayne and a mediocre Batman, or they're a really good Batman and a mediocre Bruce Wayne. Oh, yeah, like I think honestly, I might get hung out to dry for this. I thought Affleck was a great Bruce Wayne.
Sure, yeah, I thought he did a good job. Like the kind of the older Bruce Wayne, kind of that weary, the world weary, Bruce that is kind of just on the verge of retirement, but
broken, a little lost.
Like I told you, no one listened to me.
I think in that regard, But as far as Tom Holland was like the breath of fresh air, like, oh, they're gonna redo Spider-Man again, yet so close to the Amazing Spider-Man series. And then Tom Holland just stole the show from the moment that we saw him in Age of Ultron. So I thought that was great. And honestly, I'm a huge MCU fan. It's been killing me with the quarantine of everything being pushed back, of Black Widow and Falcon and the Winter Soldier and everything. And now the schedule's all changed. But then we get like announcements that Jamie Foxx is coming to Spider-Man 3 to reprise his role of Electro.
Right. Yeah.
So that's like, and apparently he's not the only prior cast member. I read on Reddit that Kirsten Dunst is being looked at again for Mary Jane. So they're definitely like something's up with the multiverse. So I'm curious about it.
Oh yeah, like with Jonah Jameson.
Yeah, exactly. We already saw that at the end of Far From Home. Good point. And I think that's just the beginning. And if they were really to bring anybody back, I think big for me would be like obviously bring Charlie Cox back as Daredevil, because he nailed it. And then obviously Vincent D'Onofrio as Kingpin, because holy shit, I see him in an entirely different light.
I've been watching him in Ratchet, and he is just, dude, you want to reach through the screen and strangle his ass yourself.
Man, I've not checked that out yet, but I've been kind of like holding, my wait to get a little bit closer to start watching some Halloween related stuff and some spooky things. Is it good?
It is good. It's not quite as dark as like American Horror Story, which it's very similar, but it's all very, very theatrical, and everything's bright colors, and it's very 1940s and 50s. And I think it's really, really well done. And they brought back, some people from American Horror Story, but like the right people. They didn't just like fill it full of the American Horror Story cast. They handpicked some people that were perfect for it. And so I thought it was really well done. Nice.
It's always, I'm always curious, like what people are checking out and stuff like that from wherever, especially when it comes to, to our, geek culture and just kind of the things that are in pop culture, so that's one that I haven't had a chance to check out. So one thing I was curious, you'd mentioned that you've been pretty busy with like home renovations, but like, what have you all been up to during everything with COVID right now? Like,
a lot. So, for me personally, I did a lot of boot camping because we knew we had an album coming up, and or a studio session for the first EP on our next album. So I've been, working with that. And then I kind of actually rekindled. I do a pop punk radio show once a week. And so I kind of rekindled that. I was really kind of getting to the point I wasn't going to do the show anymore. And when we really analyzed it, it just came down to the fact that the time I was doing it wasn't working anymore because my life had changed. And so we just talked to the station and we're like, this time would work better. Okay. They're like, fine, do it. So I just kind of took the show and even took it deeper into pop punk, where before it was like rock and pop punk, but I've just gone deep into pop punk now, and I just enjoy it a lot more. And I mean, other than that, I think I've just seen a lot more horror movies than I normally would.
Nice, very good. That's so. What's the name of your radio show?
It is Getting Squatchy.
Getting Squatchy. And is it online for people to check out?
No, it is live only, but I do have Getting Squatchy playlists up on Spotify that have all the bands like in order of appearance from each episode.
That's awesome, and that's something that I really need to get on. And I will. I've had so many awesome bands on the show, and it's just like when you're doing so much on your own, it's just like I'll get to it. But that's awesome.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
Getting Squatchy. Well, you have to spell that out for me after, and I'm gonna have it appear on the screen.
That's on.
Hell yeah, man! I'll send you a link.
It's on 99WNRR.com, right?
Yeah,
.com.
99WNRR.com.
Every Thursday.
Every Thursday. Nice. We don't have conflicting schedules. I love that.
Excellent.
So, so you're working on a new album, staying busy with that. Did I catch that correct?
Yeah. We're working on our fourth album, and we're actually going to be dividing it up. We're gonna not release it yet as a full album. We're gonna release it as like 4 EPs and then as a full album. But so we're doing. There's gonna be 16 songs. We're doing like 4 songs at a time that are gonna come out. This is like.
Everything is divisible by 4.
We're really maxing out the nerdiness on this one because everything is going to be like it's 4 like there's 4 seasons. We kind of noticed that like a lot of life is based on the number 4, where it's like there's 4 seasons, 4 time, 4 chord songs, 4 this, 4 that. So we made this whole thing around, or 4 elements, and so we made this whole thing around the number 4. And it's eventually going to be called, the album is going to be called 4D, which is like 4 dimensions. And we actually have of course, there's a whole storyline behind it as well.
Mm-hmm.
And so this first one is going to be the Winter Suite, which is going to be released. Hopefully, we're aiming for a January release of the EP, which will be for winter. And we just recorded those songs actually this past Thursday and Friday. We were in the studio doing that. So we're working on that. That's going to be hopefully the thing that we're going to be doing over the next year or so, trying to get each one out in its respective season. Hopefully, we'll see how things go, but that's the plan. So
Brian even developed a card game for it.
Yeah, there's actually a card game.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Yeah, that's I kind of wanted to make something that was kind of like a simple game, kind of like almost like War, something that you can just play when drunk, when you don't have to think too much about it. Or like there's this game I used to play online called Epic Pet Wars, where like you didn't have to think too much. You just have to like level up your pets as much as possible. And then they weren't actually pets; they were like snakes and monsters and shit. But and like you would just basically like just hit a button where you wouldn't have to think or do too much strategy. You just like hit a button, and if your stats were higher than the other guy's stats, you would kill them. And you just keep doing that. And that's kind of the game I wanted to make, like a card version game of that, where like you can be totally drunk and not think too much, but you're just kind of playing this. But it seems fun at the time because you're drunk, and like you're just trying to win as many cards as possible. So it's a game that goes along with the whole because there's this whole storyline behind 4D where it's also an anime inspired kind of storyline where there are like these 4 elements, and there's this game master, and like he sends these kids on this quest to do this thing, and they have to travel across 4 dimensions and blah blah blah. And, there's this whole thing to it, but it's kind of we try to really max out the nerdiness. And each song on the album is has 4 chords.
4 chords.
Only 4 chords.
Yeah, that was the challenge. Like we're gonna write songs that have only 4 chords, and like
Dude, it's hard.
yeah,
Oh my God, it's hard.
so yeah, so that's yeah, and each suite, like each seasonal suite, is based on like one particular note and then the relative major and minors of that note.
Yeah,
it's so
It
geeky,
gets some pretty
dude.
Steely Dan deep
That
here, man.
is
So
that is
geeky.
the type of level of geeky that I fucking aspire to be. That is awesome. I wish I could find 2 other like-minded individuals to nerd out that hard with me. Oh God. So I know there's 3 of you, and there's me right here. And if we're talking about the number 4, I could just be your super remote player from the other coast.
There
Just
you
put
go.
me up on
Exactly.
hologram.
Yeah.
Oh hell yeah, dude. It's been done.
Right?
I can play synths or a guitar or bass, or I can just stand there, just
Yeah.
Cowbell with a flanger.
or I can just do the whole DM thing, where it seems like I'm just like orchestrating everything.
True.
Oh, dude.
Ooh, that would be
A
that
live
would
band
be
with a DM.
awesome.
Hey,
Yeah.
hey.
Now I'm
I like
just spitballing ideas here,
I
That
like
would be something else. I've never seen a live show that had a DM. At least
Wow.
in the Dungeons and Dragons variety. I've seen a couple live shows, but we won't talk about that.
We're gonna have to do that. We're gonna have to make it happen.
Right?
It's gonna be like an Alice Cooper kind of live show up
Yeah.
pretty soon. I mean,
You'll be our DM for the Nobody's Hero portion.
Oh man, that would be I would be a dream. I'm not gonna lie. That would be so much fun. If things open up, trust me, like I've made sure that my availability is open for next year to go to different parts of the country or perhaps even other countries to go just check out amazing opportunities like that. That would be a ton of fun. I would fly out for that. That's for damn sure.
So, do you know that on our website on the albums page, when you go to the Nobody's Hero album, there is a link in the description there that will take you to a flash fiction piece that we wrote that covers the whole story of Nobody's Hero as it traverses through each song. And we actually we had a guy over in the UK narrate it for us.
Tristan, yeah.
So yeah, you should go check it out. You'll like totally dig it. Your D&D senses will start tingling.
Oh, I'm definitely gonna check that out. Oh man, whew, my DM senses are tingling right now. That whew, man, I might need to make an insight check really quick.
Oh my-
Man, I gotta figure out how I'm feeling. Whew, man, I'm feeling all sorts of ways. This is awesome. So you got a brand new album coming out, incredibly ambitious. I love the concept for 40, and especially trying to write a song that only incorporates 4 chords, which, for punk, that we've been using 3 or 4 chords, but you expand on songs, play a little bit more here and there. So that definitely had to be a challenge to stay within those parameters.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it's actually harder than you think, because we thought like because the whole idea came from one of the songs on Glorified was actually just kind of this speedy 4-chord punk song, and then like it was one of our favorites on the album. So that's kind of where we kind of got that idea from. Was, well, let's just let's expand on that and let's try to make a whole bunch of songs like that. And you would think it was easy, but it's not. And like a lot of the songs kind of went through there's actually a point where like we were ready to kind of like ditch the idea, or at least ditch some of the songs and kind of just say, okay, screw it, start over. And maybe like we don't have to be that nerdy about it, but we thought no, that was the original idea. We need to stick with it and see it through. There is one song out of the 16 that we have for it, which is like there's a brief part where it goes to a 5th chord. And that's only because like in the storyline, there's kind of this thing where they actually kind of briefly go into this 5th dimension kind of thing.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah. So, like once we were able to like pull that off and make that work, we're like, okay, yeah. I mean, we just, it's so nerdy, dude. I tell you.
But that right there, that's like true DM power. Be like, fuck, I wrote myself into a corner. I need a loophole.
Right,
Yep,
exactly.
yep,
And we make it work, you know?
I think there was a point where, we were kind of had our backs against the wall. We weren't sure if we were going to be able to do the whole 4-chord thing. And then the discussion was had, wait a second, hold on. AC/DC has made like a 50-year career off 3 chords. Dude, we can do this.
Yeah, it really
Hands
shifts your
down.
attention. I mean, like instead of just like you're thinking orchestrally, like, oh, about this chord, how it layers with this and this invert this, and like no, just like now you're thinking about rhythm. It's like where are our accents? Like, are you playing this downbeat? I'm playing this downbeat. Where can we like? You're thinking about these little nitpicky things that you normally doesn't matter, but as soon as we got into the studio, we kind of anticipated this. We're like, yeah, good thing we did this. Good thing we anticipated.
Yeah,
this.
and the challenge too is also like how you make an interesting song out of just because like you can make a song where you're just like grinding on the 4 chord the whole time, but then that gets kind of boring, you know. So yeah, the challenge is how do you use these 4 chords and make a song that doesn't sound like a 4 chord song, even though it is. And how you make it interesting and not boring, and especially if you're going to be doing that for the entire album, that was the challenge. So I think we're it was rough. There were some points where we were ready to give up on it, but I think it's coming together. I think it's coming together pretty well. So we're pretty excited by it.
We're happy now with everything.
Yeah.
Well, and you're right, especially when you start thinking about like the specific rhythms. If you're going to hit a downbeat on this, like how much are you muting this? Like those little nuances, which might seem like you said, not a big deal before. Like now, every tiny nuance is a way to really either showcase an area or minimize an area, depending on like the effect that you're trying to have. That's really cool. My like spider geek senses are fucking tingling right now. Man,
on bass, one of the
that's
biggest
awesome. So 4D, definitely excited to check that out. And then for there's Glorified and Nobody's Hero, also your first album, which is totally escaping me right now.
Actually, there's ties for Glorified there. It was called Fortress Storm Attack, and Fort Storm is where they live.
Yeah,
it's kind of like if you took Fallout 4 with Diamond City. Yeah, that's Fort Storm.
And Gloria came from Fort Storm Attacks.
Yeah, that's a track off of Fortress Storm Attack. Gloria.
Everything's tied.
Yep.
I love the massive created universe that you have here, and that's the thing is like I'm a sucker for that, especially when it comes to cinema, storytelling, like huge Stephen King fan. Like I'm a huge Dark Tower fan. I love little interconnectivities between things. I mean, even like your use of 4, like very, very quartet, very Stephen King, a group, predefined by fate or some larger grande mission in order to, accomplish it. That, and it's kind of your classic adventuring party as well, continuing on with the D&D ideas. So I am so excited to be able to check out 4D next year. So that, and I can imagine I'll be sitting there with, Glorified, and then I'll have a matching beer, and then be able to just to have it all the universe in front of me, because I'm that guy. If I'm gonna like fully deep dive, and I want to have all the appropriate mediums in front of me.
That's our whole plan. Actually, is we actually have if you go on our website, we have we call it the second player shared universe. This is actually a big master plan. Like we actually have like everything is interconnected. Everything it all revolves around like where the band is at the center of it all. Like we make like little cameo appearances and everything, kind of like like a Stan Lee kind of thing. Like all of my books, my young adult novel series is seemingly unrelated, but like we as a band we show up in the book just as a kind of a cameo appearance, and so everything is tied together with that, where like everything is sort of in like it all occupies the same creative universe. And like I even have like these unproduced screenplays actually that I wrote for movies and TV shows that also like second player score shows up in that, but the story is actually something it's outside of that. It's not about us, it's about something totally different, but like we just kind of show up as a cameo appearance. And but everything it all takes place in the same continuity, and like everything is sort of related to each other in some way. It's sort of like like MCU, or even like with like Black Mirror, how all the Black Mirror stuff is interconnected, so yeah, so we have this whole this whole master plan mapped out.
I'm definitely excited to see how everything starts to unveil into each other. And you brought up one thing that I actually wanted to mention was your book series is the Joel Suzuki series.
Yes.
Yes. And I actually, while doing my little bit of homework, because I do some homework every once in a while, saw that you're on Audible, which is awesome. Because that's pretty much how I have very little downtime, but I drive all the time. So getting a chance to listen to series while driving is like my favorite thing to do. And I just finished the last book and I needed something else to jump into. So I'm really excited to check out your book.
Oh, cool. Thanks. Yeah, no, yeah, it's a series where I have 4 books are out. The 5th one should be coming out in a few months, and there's 11 planned in all. But the first book in the series actually has an audiobook version on Audible, and it's cool because what I really like about it is that the main character in my series is autistic, because my son is on the autism spectrum, and I wrote this series for him. He actually asked me to write a book series for him, which is how it all started. He had been into reading things like Harry Potter and Percy Jackson and Hunger Games, and he actually came up to me one day years ago, and he said like, "Hey Dad, can you write me a book?" I'm like, "What?" Like, it was totally out of the blue. But I figured, okay, well, challenge accepted, and so I that's how it all kind of started. And so anyway, with the first book, I actually found a voice actor who's autistic himself, but he was a professional voice actor. He did like things for some amusement parks. He did their voiceovers for their rides and a bunch of stuff. So anyway, so I hired him to do the reading of the first book on Audible. So I think that he did a really good job, and it turned out really well. So I was really happy with it.
I'm even more excited to check that out. That is awesome, and it's one thing that is right near dear to my heart. I do home healthcare. I also have family members that are autistic and both with Downs, and honestly, giving visibility to people with different special needs is huge. And I love even more that your main character is autistic, and then even getting the narrator as well, because that's huge, is having visibility within society, where it's so hard within the field because I see so many individuals that are overlooked, and so you're right to my heartstrings again.
Cool.
And let me one thing that Brian I think does not bring this out enough. I mean, because what he's done already is like way cool enough already. But this was the thing for me personally that was so awesome about the Joel Suzuki series, is that when you see people portrayed on the spectrum in movies, TV, books, usually they're succeeding despite this affliction, right? But in Joel Suzuki, he is succeeding because he is on the spectrum, because it makes him super powered.
Yeah, basically he travels to a world where his autism is the source of his magic, or the source of his power. It's almost kind of like a reverse Superman kind of deal.
Yeah, it's like I would be a muggle in this world kind of thing.
Yeah, because I wanted to make something for my son that was that was kind of inspiring and empowering, and it gave him a literary role model, or he like somebody that he could be inspired by and look up to, and also for just the autism community as a whole. Because even before I started writing this book series, I was involved in the community. I'm on the board of directors of a nonprofit based here in Vancouver, where we provide services to the autism community, and I was involved in that even before this all happened. So I kind of wanted to make something that was would help. Not only be cool not just for my son, but for for kids on the autism spectrum everywhere, basically. So
No, that's huge, and that's something that you don't see, at all. Like you said, it's usually like, oh, and look at them overcoming so much as compared to look at how functioning and amazing I am. And this, what makes me different is what makes me truly special. You know, that's something that I've been trying to get across to people for years. You know, that's one of the big things that I like about Stephen King is that anybody that's either on the spectrum or physically disabled or anything like that, they have some amazing superpower, some special skill because of the amazing way that they happen to view the world. You know, so those are the types of heroes that I look up to. So that's awesome. Oh
like,
man,
like Duddits. He's the main superhero. Dreamcatcher. Yeah, it's all about Duddits.
Oh, all about that Duddits. Oh man, I think we got Dreamcatcher up there behind me too. I'm pretty sure we can set up there.
Nice.
Yep, that's a nice little cue in. Oh, you guys are stealing my heart right now. You know, you really are.
You too. Likewise.
Oh man. This has been awesome. You never know like where these conversations are going to go. And like, I'm always so excited. Everyone has an amazing story to tell. And I didn't realize how rich and vibrant and also how beautiful your collective story is. So thank you for sharing that with us tonight. This has been amazing.
Oh, thanks for giving us an opportunity to share it.
Yep. Appreciate it.
Oh, wow. This has been great. We're very, very much looking forward to 4D. We're gonna do a big jump and check out a bunch of what you all have to offer this evening. Any parting words before we say goodbye?
Well, thanks so much for having us. I mean, this is a good time. I mean, we could just hang out for hours and just talk about all this stuff. So, yeah, really appreciate you having us on here.
Yeah, this is one of the most relaxed interviews with nerdy stuff going around.
And fun.
We can speak in nerd quotes all night and still just be able to understand each other. This is great.
I know. So I didn't get the opportunity. Usually I come over to Brian's on Wednesdays, and it's right in the middle of the show, and we're usually like having like band conversations and stuff. So I had to go back and listen to the episode that you had put up the first time you had us on, and I remember like going through the chat and just going, holy shit, like these are our people, like they understand us, you know. So I was really excited when you asked us to do an interview, because I'm like, yeah, I mean, here's somebody that's going to talk to us like in language we understand.
And that's the thing. I just go at this like if we were outside of a venue at a show in the parking lot or at the bar there, or we met at the local hobby shop or game shop or comic shop, you know, the same way that I just naturally try to engage everybody, you know. And it's not as often, but I get to riff with people as much like this when we have just so much in common. So you're welcome back anytime. God, I might even need to start like a separate podcast where we just talk about pop culture shit. I'd watch that too. I'd watch that all day.
Jump on our podcast too.
Oh yeah,
I would love to,
we'll
I would love to come hang out. Please let me know. I'm 100%. Send me an invite. I'll be there.
Let's do it.
So,
Yeah. Oh hell yeah.
Definitely.
This will be fun.
So where can we all find Second Player Score online?
Well, at secondplayerscore.com. And then, of course, as far as music goes, I mean, we're everywhere you can stream. I mean, Spotify, Bandcamp, Apple, wherever. SoundCloud, Amazon, any of that stuff. So definitely go check it out. But if you want to get everything, go to secondplayerscore.com, and we have it all there. We are Second Player Score on Facebook. You can go check out that. We definitely keep everybody up to date. Probably on Facebook the most, Instagram second, Twitter third.
And soon to be Twitch. We're dabbling with that too.
That's right.
Maybe we'll get something going there. Maybe some game streams. Maybe, I don't know. We're still trying to figure it out.
Nice. Well, definitely we can chat more about that off camera if you need any helpful information for that.
Oh, awesome.
So we'll be sure to drop all information in the chat. And before we part ways, I want to say that your name, before I even heard you guys, completely jumped out to me. I'm the younger brother. I'm the youngest in my family. And I always was the second player until I went out on my own. So where my brother was always, Mario, I was always Luigi. I was always the second. Where he was blue, I was red, or vice versa. I was always that number two. So to see that a band
you want to hear the story?
Second player lifestyle, I'm all about that. Because eventually you realize the second player score, you're whooping ass against that first player for that that old controller jockey who's just trying to slam away and be like, oh, read the book, learn how to do the fight moves instead of just button mash the whole time.
But it's backwards. I'm facing left. What the hell?
You want the original origin story on that one?
Yeah, I would. Yeah.
It is a Simpsons episode called Mother Be Not Proud. And there was a video game callart Bone Storm.
Bone Storm.
Had to play.
The Christmas episode.
Millhouse had it.
Yep.
And Bart went over to Millhouse's house to play it. and he's like, hey, can I play this game with you? He's like, no. It's a 1-player game. And he's like, but why does it say second player score?
Mom, Bart's swearing.
Brian heard that, literally, back when it was not in syndication. He was watching it when it was a TV show at the time, and knew immediately, boom, I'm gonna have a band that name one day.
Yeah.
And Bone Storm ended up being the first track on Nobody's Hero.
Yep.
Which is the beer that goes to 11.
There you go.
It all comes full circle.
That's right.
That is awesome. And I am a huge classic Simpsons fan. And that's actually one of my favorite Christmas episodes. That's the one where Marge just wants the portrait and then he gets caught for shoplifting.
Yep.
If it's like seasons 2 from 16, it's like verbatim. Like I go to sleep to it at night. It's bad.
Well, then we are your band, sir.
You really are. Like on top of second player score. I've been living that life my entire life. Secretly, you're a Simpsons reference.
Oh, dude, they predict the future. There's still things that they know that are gonna happen.
I feel like Icarus right now because I'm flying so close to the sun. I feel like my wax wings are gonna fall apart. And I'm gonna blame Daedalus, my father. Most people don't know that part. Oh man, thank you so much. This has been awesome. Totally making the Halloween episode one for the fucking record books. Thank you so much. My guests tonight have been Brian, Dan, and Kyle of Second Player Score out of Vancouver, Washington. Thanks so much for hanging out.
Thank you so much for having us. We really enjoyed it.
Yeah, this is fun, man. Let's do it again.